Hi, I'm Elizabeth Gearhart. I'm here with Donald Ploetner. And if you need to buy a car, a boat, or a plane without any hassle in as little as 3 hours, wow, this is the guy to talk to. Hi, Donald.
Hi, Elizabeth. How are you today?
Good. So, what's the name of your company?
iDeal Acquisitions.
And please explain how you do this for people.
What iDeal Acquisitions is a full concierge purchasing service. We deal with cars, we deal with boats, we deal with planes. With automobiles, we take you through the entire process from start to finish so that you are not stuck in a dealership for hours on end. We sit down with a client and talk face to face, find out what they're looking for. Right now, during COVID, we're doing it all via Zoom. At that point, we can set up test drives for the client. We escort the client to the dealership in order to have the test drive. Afterwards, we negotiate on the client's behalf. We locate the vehicle for the client. We set up all the delivery for the client, and we bring them to the dealership for the closing. We like to have a client in and out of the dealership in roughly an hour to maybe an hour and a half, depending upon how long after you need the car explained to you at the closing. We make sure that there are no hiccups. We make sure that your information is kept confidential so that no dealership is calling you, emailing you, harassing you, making you come into the dealership to get a deal because today is the day. No, we take care of everything for you.
And you started this business 6 years ago because you had been in retail sales and then that became a difficult industry, so you decided to move to this. Could you talk a little about that?
Sure. Roughly 2008, my family had been in the auto industry for 75 years. In 2008, 2009, the recession happened. Unfortunately, we were washed out of the industry due to circumstances that were out of our control. Proceeded after that to have to figure out what I was going to do with my life. So I had to buy a car for the first time in my life, not having ever done that. I went to the dealership and I was at a Hyundai dealership and it took over 8 hours to purchase the car. And while I was there was a client that took delivery of a car at the sales desk behind me. They came back 2 hours or 3 hours later. I was still there, amazed that I was still sitting in a dealership and still had no numbers put together. And they told the person that they did not get a spare key with their car and proceeded to sell them their spare key for $125. Now, any car since probably World War II has had a spare key with it when you purchase it. So I said, this is insane. A couple weeks later, fast forward, a good friend of mine decided he needed a new car, kept harassing me for a week to please come negotiate the deal for me. And I said, no, I want nothing to do with the auto industry. And finally, after a week, I gave in. We went to the dealership. We were there for again 8 hours, and they were beating the hell out of him, just badgering him with this number, that number, everything else. And they had a popcorn machine. And I sat there eating popcorn and enjoying myself. And he asked me at some point, are you going to say anything? I said, no. I said, I want to watch the show that's going on here. So finally, I got bored. The popcorn machine ran out of popcorn. So I got the general manager. I explained to him how the deal was going to go. And I said, he told me he couldn't do it. I said, yes, you can. And 5 minutes later, the deal was struck. At that point, we went into the F&I office for the closing. And for those of you that don't know what that is, that's finance and insurance. That's where they do all the closing documentation with you. The price changed on the vehicle. It went up $5 a month. And my friend was like, well, that's okay. And I went, no, 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 no. We don't deal with this. And the F&I manager explained to me that he was the only one in the dealership that actually gave real numbers, that everything that was told to you on the floor doesn't mean a thing. I didn't like that answer. So I proceeded to make him go get the general manager that I cut the deal with. The general manager came in. I said to him, did we make a deal outside? He said, yes, Don, we're done. I said, then why is he telling me that it's $5 more a month and that you have no say over any pricing in this dealership? Well, the F&I manager got let out of the office, and a few minutes later, the F&I manager came back in the office and was rather upset and told me that I didn't understand how the auto industry worked. To which I explained to him, I've forgotten more than you will ever know about the auto industry. So that kind of set me on my path of where I was going. Um, and it just started with one deal after another deal. I set iDeal Acquisitions up originally to be a leasing company. That went out the window by deal number two when somebody wanted a pre-owned car. So we got into pre-owned sales. Deal number three, somebody had a trade-in. I didn't know what I was going to do with trade-ins. I was trying to figure this out. I told the client, and the client said, next thing, who do I make a check to? To this day, that client is now on their sixth car with us and is a great client, and we're very glad to have them in our portfolio. So it's just been one by one. Each deal has been different. Each deal has had its own pitfalls, but we make sure that the client is taken care of. One of the major things that I can say about iDeal Acquisitions is the fact that we work solely for our clients. We do not take any money back from a dealership or from anybody else. We are paid by our clients upfront in full for our service. And at that point, we go to work for them. We're their advocate in the auto industry.
So how much does it cost to hire you?
Starting fee on a vehicle, whether you're buying a new or pre-owned vehicle, anything up to the $50,000 mark, which encompasses a fair amount of vehicles that are on the road today. Our fee to take care of everything for you is $1,000.
Wow, that's pretty good. I mean, if you if I figure that my husband and I are going to help our daughter buy a car, and he's an attorney, so he bills out at, an attorney's rates. That's definitely a deal rather than
If you
8 hours, right?
if you take most of the time with our clients, if you take what you're making hourly versus what we're charging you, it's a no-brainer. It
Right.
takes the average person 14 to 16 hours to buy a car today.
Yeah. And so so what I did say, I think we do want to buy the car in Pittsburgh because I don't know my daughter would feel comfortable driving from New Jersey to Pittsburgh. So we're going to go visit her in January to help her get hopefully a new car. You and I talked a little bit about new versus used. What I told her was you don't know what happened to that car before you got it if you buy a used car because it doesn't all go into Carfax. I'd feel much more comfortable with my daughter driving a new car that I know has not been abused. And so what's your feeling on that, new versus used?
There is nothing wrong with a pre-owned vehicle. A lot of our clients have pre-owned vehicles, and but what we make sure to do is to look at the vehicle physically to
Mm,
make sure that there's no paint work done to it. We look at the service history if it's available. So we want to make sure that the car has not been damaged. A lot of times with Carfax, and it's a little known fact, if you pay for the damage out of your pocket and there is no police report, that never shows up on Carfax.
right. And
So you could buy a certified pre-owned car and it could be completely repainted.
so if you find it's repainted and the person says, I can live with a little bit of damage as long as it runs okay, can you negotiate the price down for them or what do you do in that situation?
We automatically discredit the car and move on to the next one.
Oh, okay.
We do not want to put our clients in any cars that have had any paint work done on them.
Okay.
So we don't even present it to the client.
Okay.
We will make a list. We will do the shopping. Like we said, we will go out and do the shopping for you. So we will go preview the cars and we might look at 10 cars for a client and come back to them and say, these are the three best cars.
Okay. And you do this nationwide, right?
Yes, we have people in Midwest, we have people on the West Coast. So we can pretty much go anywhere that there's a deal to be had. An example, we had a client that was looking for a 59 Chevrolet Corvette. The car was in Indiana. The client was in South Carolina. We negotiated the entire deal. We set up the inspections on the cars for the client. So the client got a full detailed inspection report from a surveyor, including videography. The surveyor was there for 8 hours with the car, going through the car. Came back with a list of things. We went back to the seller. We had a discussion. We finalized the price. We also arranged for the transportation of the vehicle to the client. We never saw the car. We never touched the car, but we were able to put the entire deal together for the client. And the client to this day is still raving about the car.
And you're located in New Jersey. So
Correct.
when we are in Pittsburgh, if say we go to Pittsburgh in January, then you would do the research for us and you would have a list of cars for us when we show up in Pittsburgh to visit our daughter. And we could go look at those three cars, say. Is that
Absolutely. We could set that up for you ahead of time. We could call dealers out there and set things up and put things in motion for you so that everything runs smoothly.
and then
And
we
if need be, we can be in Pittsburgh.
okay. Um, And we were talking about dealership deals. And this was interesting because when my son graduated, we helped him get a car and we were going to get a used car. Ended up at Toyota. And they said, we have a special deal for recent college graduates, 5 years, no interest, all maintenance included. And we'll give it to him. And so he got that deal and it's been fantastic. Of course, as you and I agree, they're doing it to build brand loyalty because that was his first car. But you said that we just happened to show up at the right time.
Correct. With the automotive industry as a whole, rebates, incentives, interest rates, they change every 30 days. So what might be, I've had this with clients that are looking at a car at the end of the month, or we're signing them on the 29th or 30th of the month. We will not start the buying process for them until the first of the month. If they're not ready to roll and go the next day to buy a car, we will wait because we don't want to go out and get them a price for a car. And let's say the car comes in at $400 a month. And then we flip to the first of the month, and guess what? The rebates are gone. Now that same car is 550.
I see. I see. Right. And we also talked about the best time to buy a car.
Right. The best time to buy a car with iDeal Acquisitions is any day of the week. Reason being is that when we walk into a dealership, the dealer network that we associate ourselves with know that we're there and we mean business. We're not there to kick tires. They know if we're walking through the door, we have a client. So they're ready to make a deal right on the spot with us.
So, how many cars have you sold through this?
Hundreds plus.
So, the dealers know you. They see you come.
Yes.
and uh and they know you're serious and they know that you're not going to take a lie for an answer.
No, we're not going to take a lie for an answer. We're not going to take our clients, our clients' interest is our number one priority. So we want to make sure that they are taken care of. I've had dealers that have come up to me after and said, "Oh, Don, we have to give you something." I said, "No." I said, "You give it to the client. We want the client to get the ultimate experience."
So honestly, I mean, between the time saved looking for the car and any and your negotiating skills, let's say, paying you that $1,000 could actually be worth a lot more than $1,000. Sounds like to me.
Yes,
Yeah.
it really could. We've saved clients thousands sometimes. And sometimes I will be honest, it's not the savings, it's the time savings, but also being able to find what the client is looking for. We've never given up on a client. We have worked to make sure that they get what they want. As you said, we spoke about earlier, I've done a deal as in short as 3 hours. I've taken 6 months to do a deal for a client.
Wow. Yeah, we were talking. Um, my husband bought his car off the internet and it worked out, but we had looked at a car just like it and it stunk of cigarette smoke. So, do your inspectors give you an odor report too?
Absolutely. If it's a smoker's car, we don't even go and look at it. We ask before we even head out on the road. If it's a smoker's car, pass, move on. You cannot get the smell out of the car. They do have ionizer machines today, but it still will leave a faint smell no matter what you do.
Right. And my husband bought a used truck and it smelled like wet dog the whole time.
Lovely. That would have been one we would have passed on, but
So, you are the ultimate car guy. What is that behind you? What car is that?
that is a Delahaye. It's from right after World War II. It's a beautiful car. Here, I'll disappear for a second so you can see it in
Okay.
full.
Mm, that is nice. Could you even buy that today?
You could buy it today and it will cost you six figures,
Oh,
high
that's
six figures.
okay. I was gonna say, so yeah, I don't think that's gonna be my next car.
One of the other things that I want to point out to you, Elizabeth, is anybody that is out there, we do fleet sales as well. So if you have a commercial industry business, if you're a plumber, electrician, anything like that, we can supply the vehicles for that as well.
Okay, great. So I do want to get my daughter a car, and my husband and I are going to help her buy it. She's going to do the payments though, so the financing is going to have to be in her name, and she's going to be the owner of the car. So we're going to go to Pittsburgh to do that in January. So what would we start with? Do you give us a questionnaire? What kind of car she likes, or how did we're
What the way the process would work is we would sit down with you and your husband and your daughter. We want all of you on the call, and we're going to ask you a series of simple questions. What's your favorite color? What color interior do you like? We're going to go through a list of options so that we make sure that we check every box that you're looking for in that car. Then at that point, we're going to say to you, is there anything we missed? And sometimes clients say, yes, I want something that is not on the list. So we make a full list of that. At that point, we go out and do all the shopping for you. We do all the locating for you. Now, with a new car, uh, right now, is a shortage of inventory due to COVID that's going on. Because factories were shut down around the world, there's very low inventory. So where I would normally say to a client, give me your top two color choices. I'm now saying to them, give me your top four.
okay?
And we're hoping that we can find it within the top four color choices.
Well, color is like the last thing on my list. But
Some clients, it's the last thing. Some clients, it's the number one thing. And
right.
we've had clients that demand that it has to be this color with this color interior.
Yeah. Well, my husband has a red on red car. Mi- Mine just ended up black and on black because that's what they had when I walked in the door that day.
I, we had a client uh, earlier this year that never was able to pick the color of their car in their entire life. And it's a gentleman that's in his 50s, and he came to us and I asked him the question, "What color do you want?" He's like, "What do you mean, what color do I want?" I said, "What color do you want? White, black, silver, red?" He's like, "I've never been allowed to pick the color of my car in my entire life.
Oh.
I've always been told what I'm allowed to drive by a dealer that I go to." I said, "Well, things change with us. So we take care of our clients."
That is awesome. So let's say, just to stay with Toyota, because they were so generous to my son,
Go ahead.
she doesn't have to get a Toyota, but and let's just say, based on what you've just told me, that we're going to buy a car that's a year old because we don't know that we can find what we want, or we'll look at used and new cars and compare
Hmm.
the two. And she wants a blue car, let's say, and she wants four doors, she wants a sedan, she wants automatic, she wants all the safety features. She doesn't care about the high end bells and whistles. So we fill out this form. We probably put all that on the form, right?
Hmm.
And then
That
we
is correct.
get a list of 3 dealerships, 2 dealerships, 1?
Well, no, what we would find out is who has the car they're looking for. We might find only one dealer that has the car in stock.
Okay.
If it's a car that's prevalent out there, we might find something that you have three dealers that have it in stock. But we're going to find out who has what she is looking for.
Okay.
Now, question: she's going to be living in Pittsburgh full time.
Yes.
Okay, just a thought process here. You might want to think about all-wheel drive for her,
Absolutely. Yes.
which in Toyota is not offered on any of their cars.
Okay. So she doesn't yeah, Pittsburgh is snowy and hilly, and so it's kind of a nightmare. Um, yeah, so maybe we go with the Subaru, or I don't know what Honda has. So yeah, so there's the first question answered.
There you go. We're already helping you.
Yeah, um, so let's say we find the car, then we just show up at the dealership with some paperwork, something on our phone saying we
No, no,
through
no, no.
the company, or
How it works is we would set everything up for you.
okay,
So upon the deal being struck, at that point, we do need to disclose your information or your daughter's information so that you can get a credit approval done and everything else.
right.
At that point, we set up the time of delivery. You go in, you see the dealership. Now, we would probably be there, but if we're not there, it will be all set up that you walk in, you sign your paperwork, and you're out the door.
Okay. And so for the financing, is that done ahead of time? Because I'm assuming we'll co-sign for her since she doesn't have a lot of credit history.
What will be done is once the deal is struck, they will call in her credit. If it comes back that she needs a co-signer, then you would have to go on as the co-signer.
Do we get a lower interest rate for her if we co-sign?
It all is based on your credit score.
Okay.
Now, you might get a little bit lower interest rate if you co-sign and you have a higher credit score, but it's all based on credit scores today.
Okay. Okay. So basically, we walk in, we say that we're with your company, Ideal Acquisitions, and they're like, "Oh, here's your car. Sign these papers, and we're done." Right?
Basically, that is it.
And
We make it easy for you.
so we're at the dealership for what, a couple hours, maybe?
We like to get a client in and out within an hour.
Okay.
It can take longer. I've had this happen in certain instances with clients that have bought complicated vehicles and are sitting there trying to learn all the toys that they have bought.
Oh, okay.
Sometimes they don't understand what they have bought
Right.
and they need to be explained it. So we try to get everybody done in an hour. But if you're there sitting there and you're learning about your car, we're still there with you until you roll over the curb. But that's where we kind of end.
Okay. Well, this sounds like a great plan. So we have about 5 more minutes. So what if I wanted to buy a boat or a plane?
Well, pardon me. We can do both for you. I mean, the plane division is something that we're really just getting off the ground and running. The boat division, just to give a little background, I have owned antique wooden boats for the last 20 years. I've shown around the world. I've also been a two-time winner of Best Boat in North America and Canada. So I have a little idea of the boating industry. I have contacts in both wooden boats and fiberglass boats that we can acquire for you anything that you're looking for. And we basically, the same thing we do with cars, we do with boats. You come to us, tell us what you want, and we make it appear.
What about trade-ins?
On boats,
Yeah.
we can work with that to trade it into a dealer. Sometimes, in cases of that, we would take on the boat to sell it for a client. If it's a private individual that's selling their new boat, we can take on that and we will work to market it and sell it.
Okay. I'm just saying, my husband has a small boat that he has on a lake, and he's always talking about, you know how boat owners are.
The best day of a boat owner's life is the day they buy it and the day they sell it.
And so the planes, are we talking private jets here? Or are we talking,
Private jets.
okay.
Private jets. We can acquire Cessna, Citations, Falcons. If you're looking for something, we can find it. That is what I pride the company in, is that we will find what you are looking for.
So what does a Cessna cost these days?
It can run the gamut. I mean, it depends upon if you want an older one, a newer one. You can get one for as cheap as $75,000. You can get one for $250,000. I mean, it all depends upon what age, what you're looking for, and then very importantly with airplanes, more than even, well, same with boats and cars, but you need the logbooks
You need what?
for the logbooks for
Uh,
a plane where they log everything, and that can decrease or increase the value of a plane by hundreds of thousands of dollars sometimes.
so when you buy the plane, do you get a slip or a spot at an airport? Like I guess with a Cessna for us, maybe Morristown Airport, we would keep it there, or what do
We could talk to different airports to set you up with Morristown. You have Caldwell, Teterboro,
you, right?
different airports. It all depends upon what you're buying and where you're going with it.
Okay. And then do you get a pilot with that, or that's all on your own?
That's on the buyer's responsibility. We also tell everybody, whether you're doing an antique car, whether you're doing a boat, or you're doing a plane, we can help set you up with surveyors. Strongly suggest we can look at something, but we strongly suggest you get a survey done to make sure that everything is correct on it.
Okay, great. Is there anything else that we need to know?
As of right now, basically, if it flies, floats, or drives, Ideal Acquisitions can locate it for you.
Great. And take all the hassle out of buying it.
Absolutely stress free.
Okay, excellent. Well, thank you, Donald.
Thank you, Elizabeth. Greatly appreciate it today.